Kachai and A Chat. Kachai and A Chat. Where stories unfold. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Sunday with Rugged Made on Stream UG Radio.
23 hours, 23 minutes past the hour of 7 p.m. right here, East African time. Welcome back to Kachai and A Chat, the show where we dive deep into meaningful conversations over a steaming cup of your favorite hot beverage. I am your host, Rugged Made, and today we are incredibly honored to have a true titan of Ugandan media joining us. A voice that has resonated across airwaves for decades, a personality synonymous with excellence and innovation in broadcasting. Our guest today is none other than Marcus Kwikiriza. I usually do a little bio. Can I do that?
No, yeah. First of all, that bio, can you also send it to me? I need it. I haven't heard of myself like that in a while.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get deeper with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Marcus Kwikiriza, born to Frank and Joy Karake.
Yep.
Marcus' journey began with his early education at Ganjoni Primary School in Mombasa, followed by Kampala Parents School for his primary leaving examinations. He has moved on to the iconic Namasagali College for his secondary education, before going to India to complete a bachelor's degree in mass communication at, help me if I mispronounce this, is it Bangalore or Bangalore? Bangalore University.
Yeah.
Marcus's illustrious radio career kicked off way back in 1998 at Sanyo FM, where he started as a vocist fresh out of high school. Since then, his talent and dedication have seen him grace airwaves of numerous prominent stations, leaving a mark that can't be deleted. Right?
Yeah.
From Radio 10 to Flash FM, Capital Radio to Classic FM, even Nation FM, Easy FM, all the way to Next, not your current, but you had a stint at Next Radio.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And today, over a warm cup of coffee, we're not just going to talk about the headlines. We are going to peel back the layers of a remarkable career, a fascinating personal journey. We'll explore the captivating story of radio in Uganda through his eyes and gaze into what the future holds. So without further ado, please join me in giving a very warm Kachai and A Chat welcome to the one and only Marcus Kwikiriza.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
The honor is all mine.
Thanks for having me.
And also I was thinking, no pressure. Number one, I'm interviewing a seasoned interviewer. How does that go about? But no pressure.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll do just fine. I've listened to you before.
Yeah.
I think you're okay. I think you're on the right track. So.
All right then.
Yeah.
I always ask people, like we have seen where you studied, we have seen what you do, your career and everything, but who would you say Marcus is? Who is Marcus?
Marcus is one lucky guy. I like to say that my story, not very many people straight out of high school, I never suffered to get a job.
The job found you.
Somehow I was lucky to always be employable. Whether it was the career of choice or the career chose me, I don't know. But I would like to think that in Uganda, where a very huge majority of our peers and those below us struggling to find gainful employment, I think I've been extremely lucky along the way.
All right then.
Yeah. So Marcus is a lucky media guy who managed to harness his craft, and I'd like to think we did pretty okay at this media thing.
Yes,
I think so. I think so.
The evidence is there.
Yeah. So yeah,
the receipts.
I think that's what I would put Marcus in a nutshell as.
Basically, you are already a media personality.
Yes, media man. My entire life, really, straight from high school, up to today. Media. I think once you do media this long, it doesn't really leave you, even if you leave it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's in you for life.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about growing up in Mombasa before coming back to Uganda.
It was a fun time because number one, knew no better. We were in exile, but I was too young to know that was exile. It was just home.
Yeah.
So it's only when we moved back that I realized, hold on, so that wasn't actually our home. This is now our home. So Mombasa was great. Mombasa, I still love it today.
Yeah.
I travel with my family to Mombasa all the time. I pass by the places that I can remember because I was pretty young.
Yeah.
We moved back when I was 4. So those first 3 years, you don't count the first year, you don't remember a thing.
Sure.
So maybe the last 2 years are the ones where you can remember some stuff. My older siblings remember a lot more about Mombasa than I do at that time. But since I lived in Kenya for a while, I made it an effort to visit Mombasa often. And I've asked my folks a lot of stories about Mombasa because they're the ones who know everything about then.
Right.
So yeah, Mombasa was good. It was always a memorable experience. We did a lot of things with our folks back then, so it was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you still go back,
Yeah.
and visit all the beautiful beaches.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't visit it as a former resident because again I was too young to remember.
Right.
I visited as a place that I know that I lived once, I went to school once, and now I take my kids there because it's always been a beautiful holiday destination anyway.
Properly.
I speak the language, so I feel at home.
You're fluent in Kiswahili?
Very fluent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
And when did you come back to Uganda?
We moved back 87.
Oh, 87.
Yeah. As a family, 87.
Okay.
Personally, after going, I moved to Kenya in 2003? Yes. No, 4. 2004 is when I moved to Kenya. Moved back 10 years later, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's first go back to the late 80s and the early 90s.
Yeah.
Those are the stories that, I personally like because I feel Uganda was, getting back on its feet.
Yeah.
Tell me about Kampala in the 90s.
What do I remember about Kampala in the 90s? You see, first of all, we moved back 87. I think Museveni had just taken over in 86.
Right.
So I remember that there was a lot of lines. Everything was for lining up.
This is the 80s or?
This is 80s.
Yeah.
87 to 90.
Right.
Because 91 is when I moved to when I went to Namasagali. So I was in boarding school after that for 6 years.
Yeah.
So very little Kampala life. So 87 to 91, I remember that we used to line up, they used to send us to line up for everything. Soap, sugar, milk. And milk was powder.
Yeah.
Posho. To line up because they used to ration how much they used to give you. It wasn't no matter how much money you had.
That was the word for it, rationing.
Yes. It was rationing. Say, each family will get X number of kilos. You go, you line up, So we used to do turns with my siblings. Say, me I went yesterday, no, you go tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
Me I went for sugar, you go for salt, like that. So, but besides that, I was too young to notice this, but I do remember that everybody you would meet seemed to be happy. Now, please note, I had not seen the war. We weren't here during the war. So I had not seen the flip side of happy.
Right.
I came from a happy Mombasa, entered a happy Uganda.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything different. For me, everybody's happy. As it should be. And I'm what?
You don't know anything about insecurities.
Yeah, I don't know insecurities. I mean, you can see a lot of armed soldiers.
Right.
But, okay. No biggie. I mean, I was told by my parents that Uganda was not safe before.
Yeah.
Now it's safe, period. That's where the story ended.
Right.
The details of this is Museveni who is here now and this is the one who has brought hope.
Yeah.
Wow. That stuff we didn't get into the details of.
Right.
Unsafe, now safe. Enjoy.
All right then.
There's a lot of policemen, a lot of army on the streets.
By the way.
Yeah, that's it. Just a by the way. Just go about your day. You are safe. You go.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, why I was asking, the first radio station in Uganda was opened in 1993.
Yes.
I was very young.
Yes.
I'm not going to say my age. I was very young then, right? And what I remember, there was a shift.
Yeah.
There was a shift in, now we could listen to music from outside. We went from Radio Uganda to now like an FM station.
Yes.
You're hearing people who sound like you, people who talk like you. You're listening to the latest Michael Jackson songs. R&B is a wave. Hip hop is a wave. Were you affected by, how radio came into play in Uganda?
I don't think there's anybody who wasn't. Yeah. For as long as you are a music lover, and please note, just for clarity's purposes,
right.
Radio was there. It was just on a different frequency.
The AM?
It was AM.
Right.
93 was the birth of FM. So what you were hearing, what people in the village were hearing was AM radio, and that was fine. We know it was what we had at the time.
Right.
So the birth of FM brought what we would call new school radio. What we now understand as clarity of music, music in stereo, understanding people speak your language. So there's no way any young person at the time was not affected by radio. Whether you wanted to be a radio presenter or you wanted to be in media or not. Or just as a person consuming this new channel of information, everybody was affected.
Right.
So at the time, it was just, that's the place we used to go to get our latest music.
Right.
Now, being in Namasagali, and anybody in Namasagali will tell you that was our source of music. Now, Namasagali is a very music-dominated school.
Properly.
Was a very big music-dominated school. So our source of music, either as a listener and at the time I was gearing up to enter into the entertainment space as a prefect.
Right.
What is a prefect in Namasagali?
Hold on. We're not going to let that one just slide. You are an entertainment prefect at Namasagali.
Yes.
Elevo.
Oh, everywhere. it's in the blood.
That is Sanja.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So whether or not you were doing it as a prefect to be, as a prefect, or as a full-on leader in school,
right.
Even if you were just doing it as a student, radio was your source of music. We would then come back for holidays, then try and get as many people we knew in radio or people who knew people in radio so that we could get the music. Because then that was the only source of music. There was no internet. There was no to get a DJ to give you music was easier to get a chick.
True that. I concur.
Yeah.
I concur because now some of us used to get music from our relatives who came from outside countries.
Now, if you have that, then you're a step better. But for some of us who didn't have any relations of anybody outside the country, the radio and you're on record.
Yeah.
On a cassette.
Funny you should say that because I've done that before.
Yeah.
Like man, there's a new song. After the messages, we're going to listen to DMX, and you're like, that's the new DMX song.
You're there on record and pause.
On a tape. Yeah.
As soon as the DMX set and pause, tap, it records. Now, for those of us who used to play music for the rest of the students,
right?
That was how we would get the music to play.
I hear you.
Would record off radio. So we'd have a big chunk of cases, of cassette tapes. All of them, midway in between there, there's
like a drop. Yeah.
There's an advert of Omo. Then you just cut it, even cut the tape, sellotape it back, put it back. You go.
Very technical.
Yeah.
Very technical.
Yeah. So radio, to answer your question, radio changed everything. Radio changed how we consumed music, how we listened to information.
Right.
It was our only source of anything and everything really at the time.
And it just goes back up to today. Radio is still the most trusted media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think it has cemented itself.
And still farthest reaching.
Yeah. Farthest reaching.
Yeah.
What was that moment that you said, I want to do this? I want to become a radio presenter? Or did someone tell you maybe you have a nice voice, you should become a radio presenter?
It's funny you should ask. I never wanted to do radio.
You're kidding me?
It never crossed my mind at any one point.
Do tell.
So the story is, Namasagali used to have what we call these plays. We used to bring to the National Theatre.
Right.
I acted in only one of them. For all the 6 years I was there, I acted in one. I played because it was dance drama. So every single drama set would have music and dance with it.
MDD, literally.
Literally. For every dance routine, you have to have the man playing the music. Who knows when to come in, how to play it, what song to play, blah, blah, blah. For the 3 years that I was involved in those plays, I acted in one, did the music for two. In everywhere we would go for all the other two, for all the other three, whether it was taking it to St. Mary's Kisubi, Namagunga, the theater, Mwiri, we would always start by asking everybody to stand up for the national anthem.
Right.
So my job, when I was the guy in charge of the music, would be to get on the microphone and say, could you please stand up for the national anthem? That's it. That's it.
The Morgan Freeman of
Simple, that was my job.
Yeah.
Please stand up for the national anthem.
Right.
They stand up. I played. They finish. We sit. Done. So one day I am at the National Theatre and I say it in the microphone. Could you please stand up for the national anthem?
Right.
Finish the play. Come down. There was somebody in the audience who I later found out was the head of programming at Sanyu.
You can mention their names. It's okay.
Her name is Marion Etiang.
Yes.
Marion Etiang Businje today. So Marion comes to me and says, you have a really good voice. Have you ever thought about radio? And this is 96. I think I was just finishing S6, heading into S7.
Right.
P7, S7, VAC, sorry.
Yeah.
VAC. So I say, as soon as I finish my exams, I'll come. Just come by and do a voice test.
Right.
As they say, the rest is history.
This is Sanyu at Naguru.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
This is when it was basically Sanyu, Capital, and CBS maybe.
CBS hadn't even started.
It was just Sanyu,
and Capital.
So this is 97. Then 98, you go into radio.
Actually, 97 March.
97 March, you remember?
Straight out of finishing A-level, I went for that voice test.
Wow.
And I passed it.
Who trained you on the basics of presenting?
There's a gentleman called John Wilkins. That was my first trainer. John Wilkins now owns a radio station in Kigali. He trained me for the whole of 97. I used to do Friday night and Saturday night. The whole of 97. I started doing, so Friday night, Saturday night was my training ground, so to speak. So if you look at the most of the places where I've put when I started working, I would say mostly 98.
Yeah.
Because 98 is when I actually got a daytime show where I needed to use the skills. Friday night and Saturday night was a party show.
Exactly.
To be honest,
the nightlife show.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't say that I was doing real radio at that time. I used to get the music. I knew my music because of what I'd been going through in Namasagali.
Right.
So I knew what to do. I'd just have a good time, just get on the microphone and scream for party guys.
The hype man before the hype man.
Yeah, exactly. Hype man is not
radio.
The techniques of radio, understanding how to stop, when to talk, how to build a story, how to get a punchline, how to blah, blah, all the techniques of radio. So I always say that my radio career started 1998 when I now started proper primetime radio, when I need to understand the commercials, I need to understand how long you should be able to talk for, how the attention span of a listener is, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So yeah. So I didn't plan to join radio. That's moral of the story.
Basically, it took like a year to hone that skill.
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Pretty much.
How was it at Sanyu? Do you want to tell us about your experience?
Sanyu was a lot of fun. Working under the late Mzee Kato was because the radio and the TV station were right next to his house.
Right.
There was a bridge leading. There were two big buildings, identical. One was the media house, the other was his residence. So he used to walk through that bridge that he had built in his nightgown. And if he didn't like what he was listening, he would fire you.
Wow.
Yeah. There.
Like a headmaster.
Yeah, go kora chibano. You get this. Getting. Boss.
Yeah.
You're not the one who hired me. Okay, you are, but
I'm the owner.
You are, yeah. So anyway, but he mostly kept away. His son John, who's still a good friend of mine, was running it at the time.
Mr. John Kato.
And he also mainly left John Wilkins because he was the radio guru. Yeah. So John Kato was GM. John Wilkins was head of programming. So head of programming is the one who understands radio. He understood radio. So mostly we dealt with John Wilkins.
Right.
And John Wilkins did a lot of grooming to very many media personalities in this town today. Yeah. All the old names, all of them might have gone through John's hands.
From the Alexes.
From the late Alex Ndaulas to Aris Elvis to Rasta Rob to Christine Mawadri. Most of them went through before they went now into Capital. Others went into other radio stations, CBS, blah, blah, blah. But some of them, John Wilkins touched. Nice.
And what would you say? Because back then, almost all presenters almost had like a persona to them. Yeah. Like Shadow was Sodewa Bachara. Mr. Roger Magisha.
Yeah.
Alex was the cool uncle.
Yeah.
Kantankadas was the guy who makes the most noise, the guy, the knowledgeable guy, the spoiled guy in school. Yeah. Did you ever get a character and say like, this is my persona, this is my radio persona?
Because I started off as the hype man, I remained that for a while.
Right.
I used to, my nickname was the Quickstar, short for Kwikiriza, Quickstar.
Nice.
Because of the fact that I didn't have a primetime show, it didn't catch on per se. So I didn't have, and I was the youngest of all of them.
Right.
And those guys had already gone ahead of me. Alex was already a household name. So was Rasta Rob. So was Roger Shadow. So those guys were already big. So I said, I'm not going to try and fight in that space.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to remain down here. Be happy that I have employment. Be happy that I'm getting my 400K.
At that time, that was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money. 400K, don't try and fight the big boys.
Right.
Be very careful. You be happy where you are.
Stay in your lane.
Be comfortable. Don't try and just plus we were getting all the groupie love. So what more did they want?
Now that was what I was going to side by you about. I was going to side by you about that. In the 90s and the 2000s, for our listeners out there who are millennials and Gen Zs, the radio presenter was the superstar because you had the dope voice, you had the nice voice on radio, but then also outside, there were chada. How did you handle the fame then?
I don't know. I think it has a lot to do, I think, with how you were brought up as a person.
Yes.
It also helps a lot that I was in Namasagali.
I want to sidetrack a bit. Namasagali was also the school for the fly people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Namasagali was a very good learning curve.
Okay.
Because we used to have dances every Saturday. We probably had hotter chicks than Namagunga and Gayaza combined.
Up for debate, but let's keep
that's why I said probably. Arguably.
Yes.
In the 6 years I was there, I am confident to say that we probably churned out hotter women. So I had gone through that phase where I was already a popular DJ in school where there are hot chicks. I'm already the DJ of the hot chicks. So coming out into the real world, it was nice to see people who don't know you come screaming your name, make no mistake. But it's not the same as you can imagine a guy who had come from, like, imagine a boys' school. Then you throw this at him.
And he lands in things.
It lands in such kind of chaos.
Sure.
Now, for me, it was an easy ground landing space because of what we had been through in Namasagali. How did we manage? You just remain calm, you smile, you move on, do your job and keep at it. And remember, we had also gone through that phase where late 1980s, early 90s, we had gone through that Philly Bongole scare.
The scourge.
Yeah. So we were careful on how we were going to operate these matters because it was still fresh in our mind that this thing is going to take you and everything you think you are today, you cannot be tomorrow. So, and then they had overplayed for us that movie Consequences. Anybody who is my age knows that movie.
I know that movie.
There you go.
I know that movie.
So it was fresh in our mind as well.
Richard.
There you go.
You're going to get pregnant.
You're not as young as you say.
I'm young. I'm young at heart. This is Kachai and A Chat, where stories unfold. We talk to remarkable people, and today I have one of the most remarkable guests I have had since the show began, Mr. Marcus Kwikiriza, seasoned media personality, one of the cornerstones of radio in Uganda. And we are talking about his journey from Namasagali to his first job that he got when he was in Essex VAC at Sanyu FM. He went from doing a very, what was the word? Hype man?
Yeah.
Being the hype man.
That's the noise.
Yeah, he went from Kelede to having a prime time show, the morning show. Yeah. Who was your co-host?
So, to take you back, I didn't do any primetime radio until I first left
Sanyu.
Yeah. I left Sanyu, then went to Radio 1. And Radio 1 is when I now moved into serious radio, where I was now retrained by a guy called Neil McLeod. Yeah, Neil.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Why are all these people, white people, why are they Bazoom?
At the time, the owners of the radio stations didn't think that black people knew what they were doing. True to the fact, though, this is because FM again was new to us.
The novelty.
Yeah. So they were getting experts who had done FM in abroad to come and teach us radio. So I moved to Radio 1 and I was doing the mid-morning show. Neil trained me for that. I think RS was doing drive time at the time. The same show he's doing today. And this is late 99.
Right.
Late 99. Then that's when I decided I need to, because remember I'd come straight from high school to work. So I'd not gone to campus. So that's when I said I needed to go back to school.
Let's go
Yeah, that's when I now moved to India.
I get you.
Yeah.
So after Sanyu, you go to India.
After Sanyu, Radio 1, after Radio 1, India. Yeah.
Okay.
Then India, after 3.5 years, close to 4, came back. And I came back saying, I don't want radio anymore. Now I'm a graduate. I'm a serious guy.
Before before we get into the serious guy who has graduated now, tell me about because you've seen this in real time. Radio shaping the private sector in Uganda. Radio shaping corporate Uganda. Radio shaping advertising. Yeah, radio. It was the cultural shaper.
Yeah.
Tell us some of those moments you would say this sticks out because radio did this and this was the domino effect, especially in Kampala at the time.
I cannot speak from a point of as a radio personality. I can speak as a witness who was in the system, so to speak. Because remember, at the time before I left for India, I was, for lack of another way to put it, a third-tier radio presenter.
Wow. Just like movies, we have A-listers, B-listers.
A-listers, B-listers, I was there. Tier 3, Tier 4, there. So I was not in any way privy to the decision-making process of how they were moving and changing things and society the way you were saying it. But I did see it happen. And I saw it happen. The best person to tell this story actually would have been the late Alex Ndaula.
Wow.
Because I saw Alex and Christine and the late Alan literally decide which advertisers would get to have their adverts run, how they would do it, and see advertisers literally beg.
I want that show.
I need to be on that show.
But you
and
see,
Alex would look at you and say, no.
And tell you, but
your brand doesn't speak. Not that you don't have the money. Brand yo.
Otundambuzi atefe.
Ne station yeno. Ne show. Twale wali wansi wali ku date date. Bajja kufulira obudde. And I would see a guy whose company is probably even 5 times worth the radio station.
Right.
Begging.
All right.
And I said, wow, these guys have, this is not normal to have such kind of power.
Exactly.
And I said, one day, tuja kutukayo.
And you know what's crazy? When we were studying, in communications, there are case studies of sectors that have grown in Uganda because of radio.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number one is telecom. Yeah, your MTN, your Airtel, to get the numbers they are getting right now is because of radio.
Yeah.
Nightlife, breweries. Yeah, Dance Force actually pushed numbers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pushed numbers where guys would just go to a Kafonda, put on your radio, and guys are drinking.
It Dance Force broke every communication rule.
Oh yeah.
That was there before. Don't drink on the job. Rule broken. Don't put a drink in studio.
Rule broken.
Rule broken. Don't do the show intoxicated.
Rule broken.
Don't speak about alcohol. There was a rule about doing it in real time. Listen to the bottle open. You couldn't be able to do that. Rule broken. there's nothing Alex didn't do. Alex did exactly what Alex wanted to do on Dance Force.
True.
Breakfast show, he couldn't do most of that stuff. But Dance Force, there's nothing. They removed the entire rule book and burnt it. And said, my guy, do you. And he did. And like you said, their sales have never been the same.
Exactly. Out of, like, through the roof.
Yeah.
And I would like to think I'm one of Alex's prodigies.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
But not in a bad way. Rest in peace, Alex.
I'm looking around to see if that photos.
Okay. So after graduating,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
you come back from India.
Yes.
What
I don't know if you can call that Bulaya.
was India like?
The India we went to it was worse than most villages here.
Were you in Mumbai?
No. So the place where I got my first admission was a place called Bhopal.
Yeah.
Bhopal is in northern India. India is it's a mini continent. It's slightly smaller than Africa.
I was going to say that.
So I went there for a year. That's where I got my first communication. But Bhopal is a village. But there are very many people in very high-ranking places in government today who graduated from Bhopal. So let me first talk about Bhopal slowly because they might arrest me. But it was a village. That's the truth. Proper. It's like going to do a degree in
Anywhere.
Hoima before oil.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's nothing against people in Hoima.
I was going to say Nakapiripit, but yeah.
Not that bad. So anyway, I went to visit somebody in Bangalore after a year in Bhopal just for a birthday party.
Right.
And Bangalore is all the way in the south of India. Now, anybody who is in the north, slightly central and northern India have extreme temperatures.
Right.
So when it rains for 4 days. When it's hot, it hits 45, 50 degrees. When it's cold, it doesn't snow, but it's borderline.
Yeah.
So extreme temperature places. Bangalore is tropical. It's like here.
Wow.
So I went to visit and I found people who were not wearing saris. They were wearing jeans.
Right.
They were speaking English.
Right.
The weather was nice. It was a town, city.
Property.
Proper.
Like urban.
Proper urban. I said, you sit there. I asked them, please. Can you transfer my credits for this, that year? They said, net dasebo. I said, what do you mean? I have to start afresh. If you want to cross, yes, you have to start afresh.
Interesting.
And it's okay.
Who was paying?
My folks were paying. When I told, but to be honest, they couldn't complain because education in India was pretty cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cheap. The expensive part was upkeep. But combined, even if you put upkeep, ticket, tuition, coaching, plus a motorbike, it was still half what people in real Buraya were spending.
All right.
Yeah, so it was still a lot cheaper. So I just said, look, the year is dead, guys. This is a proper town. Let me educate myself in a proper city. The other side was a village.
I hear you.
So anyway, after back and forth with the old man and woman, they agreed. I moved to Bangalore, and that's where I finished the rest of the 3 years.
Mass communication in Asia, is really big because one, like you said, it's like a continent of its own, India, and then isn't their education system skewed towards their society?
The beauty about that university where I was at, actually in Bhopal, I was going to suffer because first of all, the course was new. And I was the only student, and I was the only black. But when I moved to Bangalore, Bangalore were at least four in that particular college. Were 4 people who were doing mass comm.
Right.
The beauty about Bangalore being a very metropolitan state, the course was very international based. So it wasn't so much for India.
Yeah.
And the beauty about it is that in your last year of mass comm, that's when you focus on what it is exactly you want to do. So whether it's digital or print or so whatever. So at that point, they knew that because I was the first international student, the other 3 were locals, they knew that this might happen a lot. So they added the international part. For them, the other 3 were localizing their major. Because they knew these ones, Terije Balaga.
Exactly.
They are going to be here with us. Let's make sure that we train them for our problems.
But
this big black man, he wants to do international stuff. So that's when I said, no, let's do into more writing, because I'd said speaking and digital media I had done. I know it.
Yeah.
Now I want to do how to write, how to PR.
What did you major in?
I actually majored in broadcast.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah. I majored in broadcasting. So, but my second major was PR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you come back. You came back when again?
2003 end.
2003.
Yeah.
Kati music has taken off. Baka million, baby cool.
Everybody's a big boy.
Everyone is a big boy. Radio is still big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Radio is still the boss.
Then urban culture in Uganda has transformed a bit. We are coming back to our roots. It's no longer about Michael Jackson wanting to be like Jay-Z. It's about like Muna kati tuchukube munjeri jaffe. Yeah. And you said you didn't want to go back to radio.
Nope.
What did you want to do? Marketing?
Yeah, I said I wanted to. Yes, I felt that I had outgrown this high school phase of a job that I had, and I said, now I want to be a serious guy, like
hardy guy,
degree holder. You see? So after about 2 weeks on the streets with my brown envelope.
Tucked in.
Chikaru, looking for a job with my brown envelope, walking around. The boss of Radio 1, actually, Brenda Zobo, if you remember her.
Yeah, I know Brenda Zobo from Rap Circles.
Brenda bumps into me in the street.
Yes.
She was my ex-workmate at Radio 1 and said, "You are back." And I said, "And what? Why don't you come and we work?" I said, madam, you see me how do I look like a radio guy to you? Look at me, I'm tucked in even. And I have polished shoes. I'm looking for a serious job. She left me. That evening, I got a phone call from the boss, Maria Chwano. Madam. Said, "Young man, don't be stupid. Come and we work."
Come back and work.
I had worked for 2 weeks. Kampala Sun had given me. I said, "Madam, serious. I needed the money."
Marcus Kwikiriza, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. This is Kachai and A Chat right here on Stream UG, your life, your music. Remember, we are on Odutambi, Facebook, that is Stream UG Radio. Instagram is Stream UG Radio. TikTok, Stream UG Radio. X is Stream UG Radio. Getting back to Kachai and A Chat, hopefully you're having your beverage or a stiff one as we delve into conversations with Mr. Marcus Kwikiriza. Mr. Marcus, I wanted to ask. We have talked about your journey. Began as a vocalist, then you went and studied. Then you came back and joined radio again. Yeah. At a time where radio was a force to reckon with.
Yeah.
Yes. Sir, was the narrative like how parents think omuyimbi muyaye? Was the narrative also that radio presenters bayaye?
Oh yeah.
Back then?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Is that why I'm a serious chap now of
I mean the entire time when I was in doing that VAC radio job, you can imagine my folks were but they weren't too upset because number one, I was not asking them for money anymore. I was doing something. Now most of vacists, remember, were at that point in our time they were stealing cars.
All right.
They were sleeping in silk.
Steal Mose's car. You've jumped. You have no permission to.
Basically, you were a nuisance. So to see that I was not that for them. In fact, I even moved out because I could afford my own place
in Essex.
Yes. Because I was working.
You moved out.
I moved out. I said, "These guys,
you went to your.
I'm no longer your problem.
I'm
grown now." So I said the only time I went back to them was for fees.
Right.
Other than that, I was independent. So, but they still didn't like that was the career path I had chosen.
Or that was the reputation that's following you.
You see, the reputation was based off their peers. So that was a narrative they created. It was not because of anything else. Us, it was cool.
Yeah.
The problem with our job was yours. It was your generation who have that problem.
Very true. Because like their tradition.
Exactly.
Like where they came from.
Where they came from. You're lawyer, accountant, where doctor, chip. That's what you need to be. Now, what's your son doing? You're Maveko. Ariku Radio.
Poko.
Justy, So those were the things, that was the reputation. Post coming back, that's one of the reasons why I also wanted to, not go back to radio. But then afterwards, of course, you get to a point where you tell the guy, boss, there's money on the table. I'm not going to leave money on the table. I have looked for these so-called jobs you're talking about. They're not there. Let me go back. I'll be working. If the job comes, now I'm a degree holder.
Yeah.
I'll do it. In the meantime, let me feed myself. Says, okay. And of course, by then now, you're now really good at it. You're slightly less jumpy. You know what I mean? You're not that high school kid anymore. You've gone, you're a graduate, you're
composed.
A bit more.
Yeah.
Not totally, not the composed of today, but a bit more. And you get back into radio.
Right.
I got a new skill of set training from this Neil guy. And now you're better. You're growing. Then I left the country again.
Before you leave the country, first tell me about your second stint at Radio 1. Was this on 2?
Sadly, it didn't last long. It was, I think, 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, because I got a job in Rwanda. Yeah.
Well, was it media related?
Media. Rwanda was opening its first private radio station post-genocide, 10 years later. So 94, 2004. And the guy who had gotten the license, because I had a lot of friends who had moved back, who grew up here but now moved back to Rwanda. So they asked around and said, no, we know a guy who understands radio. So they called me, they said, we're starting a radio station. There's a guy starting a radio station, the first private one. We're looking for somebody to run programming. Is that something you would do? I said, hell yeah. So I didn't get a chance to properly answer that question because as I was still settling in, 6 months in,
Rwanda calls.
A real big gig checks in.
Rwanda
calls. Now it's a big deal. You're not just a presenter, you are a programs director.
Right.
You're sitting on the board. You're having meetings with ministers and presidents in Rwanda because first private radio post-genocide. If you understand the history of Rwanda, you'll understand what that means.
Let's talk about that. What were the varying dynamics between, Ugandan private sector and Rwanda finding its feet?
Night and day, to say the least. Working, number one, but also radio. Because remember, Uganda had been in radio 10 years already.
Yes.
Rwanda was just beginning. FM. That's number one. So already, the radio I know is not the one I'm taking to Rwanda.
Yeah.
I have to tone it down because these guys are starting. And that's number one. Number two is Rwandan radio is at this moment is very, very sensitive. The reason it took 10 years to give out that license is, if you know the history, radio was a huge catalyst for the genocide.
I was going to tell you, even in Uganda, think about the 80s, the 70s, whenever there was a change of government, the coup. Yep. The first thing that happened, go to Radio Uganda and tell them,
we've taken over.
Yep.
But for Rwanda, it was worse because they were actually telling people to kill on the radio.
The propaganda.
The actual go, this is what you do to these people, and then you can be able to take over their property. You know what I mean? So it was an actual, what they call it, action point. It's where you would go and tell somebody, do this now, and they do it on the radio. And the guy would stop what he's doing, go and kill somebody. So it was very sensitive.
But I think our listeners who have watched Hotel Rwanda may actually...
They may get that.
Yeah, they get it.
Yeah. If you've watched the movies, they will give you an understanding.
Right.
So I had to go through that entire training process and say, look here, we are preaching reconciliation, we are preaching fun, we are preaching good stories, but we are also not forgetting our past.
We have a bad history with radio.
Yeah, we have a bad history with radio, and we don't want people we have a bad history first.
You keep that in mind.
Forget about radio. Radio didn't help.
True.
If anything, it made matters worse.
I didn't mean to laugh.
So now our history in itself cannot be forgotten. So as radio, as the first guy who is going to be telling people what to say, you, Marcus, you have to understand that we need a comfortable in between. Fun, serious, reconciliation, because that's a big thing.
Yeah.
We need people to say sorry and move on and mean it. And allow people also to vent.
That is quite...
So now I've come from making people laugh.
Exactly. I was going to say that was like a heavy responsibility
Exactly.
on your shoulder because now the programming,
Yes.
how do you program?
So I had to, it took me actually about 2 months of trying to come up with something that I thought, and please note, I'm presenting this to the president.
Preach.
So when I took it to my boss, he said, you have to go and, because this language, I don't understand it. You have to find a simple way to explain this
To Mr. K.
to Mr. One. I said, okay, we go. So we arranged the meeting. I put together my solid English, but tone it down away from programming jargon. Luckily for me that day he was busy. They sent the prime minister. Still, it was malaria. I still had diarrhea.
Yeah.
But I explained our plan. I said I was not here during the genocide.
Right.
I am partly Rwandese, so I understand what this meant. I get it, but I honestly believe that we need to, as much as possible, push developmental things. Keep people busy. Let's push progress. Progress with a smile on your face. If we keep, and I understand, I'm not saying that we put the history under the carpet and cover. No. But I think if we dwell too much on the past, we will not move forward.
Right.
So my programming, I said, this show is about this. It is 80% developmental. This one is pure fun. Just jokes. This one is music. Here, we sit and talk about what are we doing to reconcile. So I had 1 hour a day on reconciliation. 1. And that is where we spent most of the time arguing. He said, increase that to 3. I said, that's not wise. Eventually, we settled for 1.5, and it worked.
We're talking we're having, first of all, Kachai and A Chat between Rugged Made. My name is Rugged Made. He's Marcus, and we have a couple of, media jargons here that maybe the usual listener may not understand. Developmental journalism is really big in third world. That's why, like, when you look at the programming in rural Uganda, is not the programming in urban.
True.
Yeah. Developmental journalism or developmental radio, does it still have a place in this new Africa? Especially in a place where we have now TikTok, social media.
Yeah, I think it does. I think that the majority of Africa as a continent is rural.
Yes, sir.
Which means they don't understand that TikTok stuff you're talking about. Which means they have no access to internet. Which means they are living off their LC1 as their god.
Yep. The buck stops with him.
If that is majority of your populace, developmental radio still has a huge place.
I think so too.
Yeah. Huge.
I think so too.
And it's not about to go anywhere until internet penetration can surpass 60%, which is not going to happen in another 10 years.
I agree. Just the way you talked about the AIDS scourge in the 90s, radio was very, very, very instrumental in bringing down the numbers of the people, the infections.
Yes.
And also agriculture has grown because of radio. And all this is like developmental radio, developmental communication.
Any killer disease, you cannot curb it without radio. COVID, malaria, any success story with regards to Uganda, I'll speak to Uganda with authority. Any success story of any pandemic we have fought AIDS, malaria, 6 killer diseases, COVID, Ebola, name it.
The 6 killer diseases. The 6 killer diseases.
Yes.
Wow.
Name it. We have done it with radio.
Right.
Yeah.
So, let's go back to Rwanda. How long were you there for?
Rwanda was 2.5 years. Yeah. About 30 something months. Yeah.
But what was your takeout?
Rwanda was, this is 94. No, 2004.
2004.
Sorry. 2004, 2005. Rwanda was a takeoff mode. 10 years after the genocide, they had settled in. They were, it was a young Paul Kagame who I think had just become president or was still vice president. I can't remember at the time, but they were on the right track to moving. A lot of construction going on at the time. A lot of building. You could still drive in Kigali and see a lot of bullet holes everywhere. But it was you know when you walk in a country and you can tell people are walking on eggshells.
Exactly.
But hopeful eggshells. You can see somebody who looks and is like, I can see there's a very small light at the end of this tunnel. It's far,
but it's there.
But it's there.
But you can
and
also
I can see it. But you can also see people who are walking. I want to laugh and laugh whole. You know how Ugandans laugh wholeheartedly, and you can hear him 6 bars away.
Yeah. And you'd be like,
from the other side,
and also be like, that's Ricky Lance laughing.
And you can know that's the other guy laughing. But because of it's who we are, and because we are free to do it.
Yeah.
You can tell someone who he wants to laugh, but he doesn't believe he has earned the right to laugh.
The post-trauma.
Yeah, post-trauma is like, how will people look at me? What am I so happy about?
I've lost. Yeah, there's so much I've lost.
I probably just have 10 years ago. I had siblings, today I don't. So what am I really elated about? But nobody says it.
Yep.
But you can see they're thinking it.
That was like, as the kids say nowadays, that was the aura.
Yeah, that was the vibe. So yeah, I mean, but it was hopeful, and you could see that everybody's like, look, if we stay on this trajectory, we'll be okay.
Aren't you proud of what not the strides, but the changes you made?
Absolutely,
especially with the first ever FM station in Rwanda. In my top 7 achievements, that's probably top 5. I'll drink a Kachai to that.
Thank you.
Marcus Kwikiriza, ladies and gentlemen, seasoned radio man, and then also he has so many years in media strategy as well. But we'll get to that later on. Tell us when you come back from Rwanda.
I go straight. I don't even go through Uganda. I go straight to Kenya. I didn't even come through Kampala.
Like East African community.
The flight was direct. With a suitcase.
They called you? Did they call you?
Yes, they called me. The late Christopher Kirubi, media mogul and businessman, calls me. I was in the meeting, I remember. I see a Kenyan number calling. I had a girlfriend in Kenya at the time. 254. 254 calling. I was in 250. I see a 254 calling. I'm in the middle of a meeting with my boss. I ignore it. I had a girlfriend. So I figured, this is her. Who else is calling me from Kenya? Second time. Third time, same number. So I excuse myself. I said, maybe something has happened to the chick.
Right.
So I get out, and then there's a guy on the other line. And this is how Christopher CK used to talk. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is this Marcus? Please note, I've excused myself from a meeting.
Yeah.
Then there's this guy talking slowly and with a bad accent. My name is DJ CK. You don't know me. I'm asking the guy, first of all, it's a DJ who has called me. Little did I know that this guy is a millionaire in dollars.
Yep.
I said, can I help you, sir? Okay. My name is Christopher Kirubi. You don't know me? You go.
You already know me.
Yeah. I want you to jump on the fast plane and come to Kenya. We need to talk.
Yeah, man. I need that kind of money. I need that kind of money.
I spoke like a real big boy.
Yeah, man.
I said, yeah, well, what is this about, sir? Is anything wrong? You don't worry, my PA will call you. And he hung up.
All right.
I put the phone down and went back into meeting. Of course, I didn't hear anything in the meeting happened because my mind was
Your mind is like, no,
what
this guy.
kind of conversation was that?
PA going to call me.
So immediately I finish my meeting, I go onto my computer, my desk, and I Google the name. That's when I'm like, okay. In the middle of Googling, the PA calls.
The literal meaning of Google me.
Yeah, Google me, nigga. So, as soon as I'm still Googling, and now the proper PA calls.
Right.
Now with complete Kazungo. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Dr. Kirubi has been called you. Are you free? Hey,
DJ/doctor.
Yeah, doctor is earned because of
honorary.
Honorary.
Yeah.
Says you'd like to meet you urgently. Can you please be on the first plane tomorrow? Said, So I just look at the time. I said, tomorrow is what? Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's a working day. How do I get the day off? I know. I create something. I said, these things, you jump on it when it's hot.
Exactly.
I said, yeah, I can be on a plane. Okay, just send me your passport details, blah, 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 blah. Within 40 minutes, I was on a plane, booked at whatever, driver picking me up, staying at the Hilton.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
For those who don't know, the Hilton is like the Serena of Uganda right now.
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah.
So you go to Kenya.
So I go to Kenya, I meet the guy, we have a meeting. Meeting lasts 40 minutes. He's looking for somebody to do his prime time evening show.
This is for Capital
Kenya. And we negotiate prices. I slap him a bill. He didn't flinch.
Oh, he's like, how much do you want?
Yeah. And I threw a figure.
You're like, give me $4,000.
I just grabbed what I was doing in Rwanda and I doubled.
Okay.
And the man said, no problem. I said, accommodation. He said, no problem.
I want a car.
The car, I said, no, car we shall give you a loan. You buy the car you want, but you pay for it.
Yeah.
No problem. I said, it's okay. And he said, anyway, so...
You start
when can you start? Because I need you quickly. I think it was like the 16th of the month. Right. I said, I can start on the first. He said, no, I'm giving you 4 days to go and pack your things. I said, the other side, I have a notice period. What is your notice period? 1 month. What's the fine for 1 month? We have to pay them for the month. Says, how much? Check. Go with this to them.
Get your salary for the month.
It was a Wednesday. Said, I want you back here on Monday. Please. You have the weekend to pack.
I was going to say, but now you have to go back to something you just begun.
Exactly. I'd done it for a year. Yeah. I'd set it up. It was okay. It was comfortable. But yeah, I have to go back and tell them, guys, unfortunately,
I got to bounce. I got to go.
Bigger fish to fry. And again, you can imagine from a career standpoint, I had moved from booming, okay, let's say, okay, Uganda to startup Rwanda. And now a chance to go to booming Kenya.
Now,
which makes Uganda look like children.
Let's put this in job description terms. You went from presenter in Uganda.
Yeah.
Then were you PD in?
Yes, I was PD in Rwanda.
Kigali.
Yeah.
Now in Kenya you're going as well.
Back to presenter, but you see, you have to understand.
We'll get back. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Let's. Do you want to refill?
Yes.
Let's take a 10-minute break. This is Kachai and A Chat right here on Stream UG, Your Life, Your Music. My name is Rugged Maid, and I am hosting the one and only, the big boy, Marcus Kwikiriza.
Stream UG Radio, Kachai and A Chat. Kachai and A Chat. Where stories unfold. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Sunday with Rugged Maid on Stream UG Radio.
Rugged Maid, and we back on Chai and Kachai and A Chat. You're like a coffee person, Marcus.
Yes.
Why is that?
A wise man once said, don't get high on your own supply, but I actually have a coffee business, so I actually love coffee.
We'll get back. We'll talk about your coffee business.
Yeah.
After you first tell me about Nairobi.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like a radio, Marcus's radio journey that began in Kampala, took him to Kigali, and then one day he gets a call from one of the media moguls in Kenya telling him that he has a job for him.
Yeah.
You get to Nairobi, sir. But before we get into your Nairobi journey, Kenya is a place where media has grown so much. It has nothing on Uganda. No, Uganda has nothing on Kenya. It's, I think, the biggest. Yeah. It's the biggest media
in the region. Yeah.
In the radio. In the region, like you said. Tell us about going to Kenya.
I mean, like you said, I took a positional decline from becoming a program director to just being a presenter.
Yes.
But I was getting paid double. And more importantly, I was in a market 5 times the size. So for me, this was a learning experience. And let me just say this now, off the cuff, everything I know about media today was because of those 10 years in Kenya.
These were 10 years in Kenya.
Yeah.
And we're talking like from 2005?
2005, yeah, late 2004 to mid 2014.
Wow. Did you work in one radio station?
No, 3.
You began at Capital.
Radio Africa, which was then Classic, and then Nation.
Now let's talk about Capital.
Yeah, Capital is where the mark was made.
What was your show?
It was called The Jam. It was a drive time show. It started, I was doing it with a Tanzanian Kenyan who had grown up in Kenya, which was very strange for Kenyans because it was 2 non-Kenyans doing a primetime show in Kenya. And that was the first time it had happened. 2 things had happened for the first time. Number 1, 2 guys doing a show together had never happened.
Okay.
It was always male, female.
Yeah.
Secondly, 2 non-Kenyans on a show in prime time. Started off doing the show together. We started off with 3 hours, 3 to 7. It moved to 3 to 8. It moved to 2 to 8.
Wow. You went from afternoon,
yes,
to evening.
Yeah, from mid-afternoon to early afternoon to late evening. And that was just because the show just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, until when we realized when we had done enough.
Where did you learn Swahili?
Remember I told you that we were in Mombasa?
Yes.
So the beauty about languages just need like a refresher course, like riding a bike. You never really forget it once you get back into the circles and you want to teach yourself the language. So it being one of the first languages I learned when we were in exile, getting back into Kenya, I purposed myself to hang with Kenyans only. I was not hanging with any Ugandan. And speaking Swahili.
No, you got Sheng.
Immediate. 100%.
How long did it take you to learn Sheng?
Sheng took about a year and a half. Swa took about 6 months.
Okay. The basic Swahili.
The basic Swahili of you can trade, you can ask for drinks, you can ask a chick for her number. Yeah. The basics for survival.
Swahili is not really big in Uganda.
But it will pick. They have forced it into schools now, so that's a start.
Yeah, that's a start.
That's a start. Yeah.
And getting into the Kenyan culture, because apparently Kenyans are very fast-paced. Everything is chop.
Like I said, everything that I know today, not only about radio, but about how to chase a deal, how to be aggressive, when to be aggressive, how to talk to a client, how to pitch, how to sell, how to read the room that this is not going to work. All that I learned from Kenyans.
Professional, emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Now, the Kenyans, to be honest, are not the most professional intelligent. They're actually, for them, they are borderline aggressive.
Yeah.
And to them, it can get annoying. Their aggression knows no boundaries. For them, they could almost kill.
True.
They don't quite reach there, but you will feel like they're going to.
But ambitious, yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's a bit too much. But you see, coming from a very relaxed Uganda, that's what we need.
Uganda, we are chill.
I have said this to anybody who cares to listen. If it was up to me, anybody after campus for working, I would send them for 1 year in Kenya.
I've worked under Kenyans.
It's different.
Oh, now there is like on a larger scale.
Exactly.
On a larger
working
scale.
Under Kenyan and working in Kenya are 2 different things.
Were you, I was going to say racism, but that's not the word.
Yeah, that's not the word. And there are some Kenyans who are like that, because you can imagine if they're aggressive to their fellow Kenyans, how they would be to you.
A foreigner.
But it's not, you wouldn't call it racism. It's just competition like anything else.
Yeah.
They're just looking after their own.
And also, let's bring in the fact that you had a Kenyan girlfriend. Did that help?
Actually, to be honest, she wasn't Kenyan. She was just living in Kenya. She was Rwandese.
Living in Kenya.
Just living in Kenya.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was stealing their person. That one was okay. Yeah. Eventually Nabba, but that's a story for another.
That's a story for another day. Yeah. What are your fond memories of Kenya?
Kenya was amazing. Let me tell you, Kenya, I have nothing but love for 254.
Yeah.
Kenya, just when I thought, first of all, I was received with unbelief. I think they needed that level of fresh air for them. They had been dealing with also their own repetitive style of presenters, and they needed something fresh.
True.
So I feel that I brought that because of the way I was received. And because Kenyans are so straightforward. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you know what you're doing and you're doing it well, because that means they're going to receive you with open arms. And they really received me with open arms.
All right.
But if you're doing a bad job, you will not last 2 months.
Very true.
I have 4, because of my success story in Kenya, they started asking me, other radio stations started asking me for radio presenters in Uganda. That's how Shanice got there. That's how Alan Kasuja got there. All of them were me.
Shanice, sorry, because now like this is for me a little too much to take.
Yes.
Shanice moved from her job in Tanzania.
Yes. They said we now want a female presenter from Uganda. I said I have just the person. Hold on.
Let's talk about the landscape, the media landscape, and also just how things were at the time. We're talking about like 2005, 2006, 2007. You have East African radio, you have East African TV. There was like a lot of shared commonalities, especially in the music at that particular time. Yeah. But were you more Kenyan leaning, or was it like East African?
No, Kenyan leaning. Kenyan. One of the first things I did, I told myself that I would, in fact, if you knew I was Ugandan, you're one of the only few. I never said it. I never sounded Ugandan. I never spoke of Uganda. I never rubbed Uganda into anyone's face. For a very, very long time, the listener knew I was Kenyan, and that's how I wanted it. Because I needed them to accept me.
I'm intrigued.
So I was speaking Swa, I was speaking Sheng, I took my time to learn Sheng, I was hanging with Kenyans. It's after about maybe 4 years that I started now looking for Ugandans.
Personal life, did you get married during this time?
Yes, I did. I got married to a Kenyan. That's why I said eventually I stole one of their people. Yes, married, but the wedding was in Uganda. Married 2 boys. Eventually, unfortunately, we divorced. But life happened.
Life happens. So besides the work ethic that you picked from there, besides also the business side of things that you picked from there, did you grow into PD?
Oh, no. I didn't grow into PD. I think now that's where the competition part of Kenyans comes in. That's where they're like, I don't think we can give this to this Uganda.
Exactly. Yeah. But still, you're like superstar radio presenter.
Oh yeah. I mean, that one, I don't think I will reach Kenyan level of stardom even here in Uganda.
Would you say that is your presenter prime?
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
And in case you don't know what Marcus looks like, you can find us on YouTube. Marcus is quite tall. He is 6'4". He's built like a wrestler. And I'm starting to think he was Soda Wachada when he was in Kenya. We
had a good time. Let me just put it that way.
You're not going to tell us?
The one thing you need to know, and anybody, if you haven't traveled to Kenya, you need to know that Kenyan women, Kenyan ladies speak their mind.
They're direct.
They are very straightforward. They don't have time to waste. If they like you and you're wasting time, they will tell you.
True.
And like is a figure of speech here. I'm saying if they want to get physical,
they will say it.
They will say it.
Sasa Leo,
we have 30 minutes.
Leo,
let's use them
you
wisely.
Come.
Yeah,
You come at 8 p.m.
8 sharp. And then 9 sharp go.
Yeah, you're leaving.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a culture shock coming from a country like Uganda where, you beg.
No way. Were you headhunted by by Nation and
yes everywhere I went they called me. Classic came. If you remember a gentleman called Patrick Kwako.
Mr. Patrick Kwako. I've worked under his advertising agency here in Uganda.
Sachi. Yeah.
Yes.
So Patrick called me and said, are you tired of that old man? Come and we work. I said, no problem. So I worked with Patrick for a bit. Then Nation called me and then I worked with Nation for a bit. And then I realized I think I have done my part now in this country.
I have like a question. It's not a groupie question, but yeah, pretty much. Working under the doctor/DJ and working under Mr. Patrick Kwako, what have you seen with these media moguls?
For Patrick, let me start with Patrick. For Mr. Kwako, if you know the story of Kwako in this country, Kwako is the one who brought the FM story here.
Yes.
And he understood FM and media in totality.
In the African context.
In the African context. Mr. Kirubi, the late, was buying a media house as a hobby. Like this CNN guy. What's his name? Rupert.
Yes. Just for the
So
fun.
yeah, it's like the way Sudhir treats Sanyu. You understand?
Yes.
It's not his cash cow. It's not something he takes too seriously. It will close and he won't lose sleep at night.
And funny you should say that because there's a time they were interviewing him and he's like, so I'm big in real estate, manufacturing, media, but there are no returns in that one. And I just brushed it off.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah. He says it. He says, I'm in media, but it's not something I put on my top 10.
Yes.
So like him, he was in media, but not something he put in his top 10.
Right.
The beauty about because it was like a hobby for him, he was always there. He had 4 or 5 factories that he had not. He's in board meetings about them, but had never actually been there for like 6 months. He was in radio twice a day because it was his hobby. It was his fun. It was his relaxed place. It was this place where he was.
Living his passion.
Yeah, not having to deal with people in suits. Everybody's tight. Everybody's talking about balance sheets and we have lost this amount of money and the forex rates and what. Here it's guys vibing, music, relaxed, young girls strutting in small shorts. So every time you'd come there, I think he would feel just happy.
Young.
Yeah. That's why he said calling himself a DJ. And he would go on the show and start playing music for himself and for other people. So it was 2 different styles, to answer your question. 2 different styles of this guy is very serious about his craft. That is his cash cow.
Right.
This other guy is just relaxed. And both of them have their pros and cons. Both ways of working. This guy allows the experts, who is us guys, do what we want to do. This other side where there are too many experts, you're most of the time at loggerheads.
Exactly. And then you have one guy. You have one guy who is the owner, but then he's the kafuru.
Yeah.
You get it?
Then he's also the kafuru. So, but because he understood that many of us had also taken the time to learn the craft, he used to listen.
Right.
So at the end of the day, he would always ask us, at the end of the day, in everything you are doing, you are saying, is it going to add value to our client? If the answer to that question is no, I don't want to hear it. I don't care how good it sounds.
Right.
If the answer is yes, let's polish it up and present it to our client.
I think just getting the best of those two worlds shaped your strategy and the leadership in media.
Yeah.
Yep.
Say that again. Sorry.
Working with Mr. Kirubu, and working with Mr. Kwako, just two bipolar,
yes,
night and day, right?
Yes.
Gave you
absolutely. So it gave me a very comfortable middle ground.
Yeah,
I understood that this is a business, and It must bring returns and must give value to our clients. But when you take it too seriously, you lose the listener.
Creativity and business.
Yeah.
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 Those two. We'll talk about how you marry them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about number one. We have established. Enjoy your coffee, sir.
Thank you.
We have established that in Kenya, you honed a lot. Number one, you went from a star presenter. You worked at 3 radio stations. You got married, had 2 kids. I think like some of the best times in your life.
True story.
Then you come back home.
Yeah.
Tell us about coming back to Uganda.
So Uganda was a tough decision to make, moving back, for many reasons. It was a time when marriage had its issues. Many people in Kenya had learnt now that all along this guy was not Kenyan.
Kombe.
Every day, this guy is Siwafe. So a bit of animosity had started coming up. So that's when I made the decision. I said, you know what? I think anything I'm going to learn from Kenya, I've learned.
Yeah.
I think it's now time for me to go take this and build Uganda. Because where Kenya is where Uganda is coming.
Yes.
And I'm primed to give this back and get Uganda to this level.
Right.
It was not an easy decision to make from a personal standpoint, from a professional standpoint, but it had to be made.
True.
I entered a car with a suitcase full of stuff and $200 and drove.
You left a lot in Kenya.
Everything. Remember, I had the family.
Yeah.
So $200. 1, 2. Golf. Kenya number plate. Suitcase. In the boot. 5 a.m.
Bosia, what?
I was in Nakawa at Capital Shoppers by 2 p.m.
Wow. This is like almost fresh beginning.
Fresh. It's exactly that. Fresh beginning.
Wow.
Start afresh and say, let's go. Luckily, by then, I'd already got a job at Capital here. So I came on a Thursday. I was starting on Monday on the breakfast show.
Yeah.
I spent the weekend meeting my co-hosts, meeting the team, meeting the bosses, meeting William Pike at the time, and just pretty much saying, I'm back. And we are starting from scratch. Let me ask. Leave your family, leave your kids, everything. Yeah.
Marriage gone bad. You've just written that off.
Yep.
You've come back home. What changes did you find in radio?
Not much, sadly. Remember, I have come from
the biggest media market,
the Kafurus of radio. So for me, I'm looking at it as I have a lot to offer. But the worst thing you can do is to come and tell guys who have given you a job that you guys don't know anything you are doing.
That is... how do you even begin?
That's the easiest. The moment you start a conversation like that, you're creating enemies unnecessarily. And remember, that side I was a superstar. Here
you're back to,
but I'm being nobody. The other guy, tier 3.
Back to tier 3.
Okay, now I can say now 2 because of the show I'm doing and the station I'm doing it at. So I'm tier 2, but I'm still not a household name in Uganda. I'm a household name in Rwanda, household name in Kenya, not in Uganda. The ordinary Ugandan doesn't know me. So I'm like, it's okay. That's why I said, Marcus, calm down. Do this nicely, slowly, effectively. You will get the people there. And remember, I have a lot more to prove because I'm starting from scratch, and I need to do it in such a way where we grow together as a show, as a station, as a fan base, as a business.
Who was your co-host at Capital?
Jackie and Olanya.
Was this the morning or the evening?
Morning. Capital Kenya, Capital here.
Capital here.
Jackie and Olanya, morning. I came straight into morning show.
Morning show.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Absolutely. It was an amazing 5 years. Amazing 5 years. Fantastic time.
At Capital.
We did very many nice things. Most people who bump me into the street.
Tell us about those nice things.
Tell me that they know me from that time. I meet Askaris, they say, man, I don't know what we have to do as a fan base to get you back there, but please find a way to go back.
When you look at the peers you began with, the Alexes, the Allans, the Mawadris, now you come back and there's Jackie. There's Mr. Oranya, who is slightly rebranding, and stuff like that. Was there any? I don't know how to put it. Was there any? Like, I missed the old days, the way it was, or were you moving forward?
No, we were moving forward, and I told the guys, I said, those guys did what they did based on the times that they lived in.
Exactly.
And they did an amazing job for that time. If anything, Alex and Christine were 2 years ahead of themselves. So, but now, because of the era we are in, which is now 2014, 2015, and how information is quick to people's doorsteps, and things are moving so quickly, our job is to catch up. So the Alexes had time to be the news breakers. Here, if we sleep, you'll find when guys know that stuff already.
Exactly.
So we have to be on our feet.
In time.
On our feet, guys. And the beauty about it is that both of them allowed me to lead. So they said, Marcus, listen, this is a 3-man show.
Yeah.
You're the oldest in this industry. Okay, minus Olanya, but Olanya was always there as a comedian, not as an anchor of the show. So he never really had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of structure, a lot of understanding programming. And especially if you looked at my CV, I've run radio before, radios. So they said, Marcus, you lead us. Tell us to go left, we go left. Go right, we go right. I said, thank you. Now let's work.
All right then. 5 years into Capital. Marcus Kwikiriza and his journey in radio. He has seen it all. He has done it all. And now we get into after Capital.
Yeah. I quit radio after that. I said, I'm done.
Why did you quit?
I thought I had done what I needed to do.
You're like that type of person who's like, madam, my time here is done.
Yeah.
See you, adios.
Yes. And my dad had told me that you are back now. You're back into this radio thing, but I want you to know that your profession, and these were his words, and I'll never forget them. Your profession is like for a prostitute. I see.
Well, let that sink in. Your profession is like a prostitute.
I said, boss, what do you mean? He said, you see, right now, you are the hot cake. In 3 years, there's going to be a harder, prettier, younger girl who is going to come and take the reins from you. You will not be young. You will not be hot.
Your shelf life is done.
Basically, your sell by date is soon.
Old news.
Yeah. So get in, make your mark, make your money, get out.
Well, Sebo, no get next.
So that's when I left. I said I'm done. So I listened to his advice. I did 5 years as I had promised William Pike. I said I'm going to give you 5 years, and in 5 years I will change it from X to Y. I did my job. I said, haven't I done my job? As I promised, I delivered. Left it. Of course, he didn't want me to go. Long story, but I left. By then I'd already started my coffee business, so I decided to concentrate on the coffee. I started an events company, which had started in Nairobi.
Right.
So I brought it here. We did a couple of events. And then Mr. Karisa came calling.
Before we talk about Mr. Karisa calling, there's something about working in media. And the thing is, like, radio presenters will go and do a gig in PR. Radio presenters will go and do a gig in events. Is there like an ecosystem to it?
I wouldn't say ecosystem, but if you are a good radio presenter, chances are you have built a good network of people because you interview a lot of people.
Right.
If you're a half decent presenter, you are at least emceeing somewhere, which means you meet more people. And if you are good with your networking as a presenter, it's very possible that you will be offered a job as in PR or as corporate relations, or as, because everybody needs, every organization needs a good communicator.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Communication skills.
Yeah. So it's not so much an ecosystem, but you would have to build it yourself.
True that.
Yeah.
Kachai and A Chat. It's not just all about entertainment. It's education. I'm learning so much. Learning so much. Tell us about your stint at Next Radio.
So yeah, Keen came and we had a chat, and he said, I want to do the first audio visual. I had told him, look, I am done with media. I want to concentrate on something else. He did, however, tell me that, look, this is something new. It's something different. I liked the challenge because it's audiovisual at the time was, I think only Kenya had done it, and it was not 100%. It was delayed. It wasn't live.
Yeah.
So it was new.
Yeah.
So for me, it was combining TV and radio all in one.
Marrying the two.
Yeah. And I thought that was something very interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was genius as well.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, this is something I've never done. Something that even I will be learning as we go along.
All right.
So it was a new challenge for me. So we started Next Radio. I was running it as GM. I was also doing the morning show. I think we built a solid product.
I think so as well. Just to let our listeners out there know that Next Radio horned a lot of talent from Zara Toto.
Yep.
You brought back Caritas.
Yep.
You brought Rudende on board.
Yep.
It was like you brought all this a long time. You married the new and the old.
Yeah.
What's your biggest standout? And we won't call it achievement, but service at Next Media.
So I think my biggest standout Next Media was how we maneuvered COVID. And this is as a media house. And COVID came and everybody struggled to figure out how to make this work. And I am glad to say that the meetings we had between myself and about 3 other people, we came up with 3, in my opinion, genius industry-breaking moves that probably made Next Media more money during COVID than any other year prior.
Okay. And please tell us.
Those 2 were something that we called Spotlight.
Yeah.
And something we started at Next Radio called Zikiza. Zikiza was a version of Versas. You remember Versas that was online?
Yeah. 2 artists getting together.
2 artists getting together. And we started our own version of that. And that was really just bringing the musician to your sitting room. Bringing the artist, bringing the personality to your doorstep. And instead of going for a concert where you would have gone at the cricket oval, we bring it to your living room.
At that time, the main thing was like, how do you take it to the crib? Yeah, like how do you take it home to the consumer?
Yeah, now that's where our visual element came to play. Most guys were at home. They were watching YouTube channels. They were doing all kinds of things, but they didn't have local content. You know, what was that guy called? That guy who did
what?
That DJ.
Anyway,
that US DJ who did mixes. Anyway, most of the stuff was international based. No one was talking to you and I and how we can get our locals and guys into the living rooms of Ugandans. Exactly. So we launched Zikiza, which was a huge hit. It was even taken up by MTN. And that event that we talked about called Spotlight, where we talked to all ministries of this country. That one was a very political angle, but it worked so well for them and for the business.
Because at that time, I feel people had like so much time on their hands.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Strategy. You know, radio strategy. What do you base your strategy on?
Client first.
Not the listener.
No. And the reason is the listener, in my opinion, is the easiest to manage. The client is the hardest. The listener, I can always tweak something to make the listener like it. It's very hard for me to tweak to make the client like it.
I've worked with very difficult clients.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you, you know, like your strategy doesn't really match with where I want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, and you would probably think it's genius.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Because you're thinking of it as a consumer. And if you want to get the strategy right to be able to be a successful, if you have a endless flow of cash, hey, by all means, make yourself happy, move on. The client will jump on board when they jump on board.
Right.
But if you are interested in making money today, the first order of business is get into the client's head.
Think as the
think as them, then work backwards.
Right. Your story is very compelling. Very, very compelling, and not just for me as a radio presenter, but just as a person having tea with you.
Yeah.
After next, what was the next frontier?
Next I left Next about 3-4 years ago, just after COVID. That's about 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went back into my coffee. I got a job as the CEO of basketball. I'm now the CEO of the federation. So we are heavy trying to build basketball in the country.
Right.
I continue to do my coffee business.
How's that going for you?
It's because good. I am not part of this coffee drama. Don't put me in it.
I'm just asking. Is it the go-to place for media people? Uncle Kabushenga yagenza mu coffee. Marcus Kwikiriza yagenza mu coffee. Yakusangayo.
Yeah, sangayo.
How
it's a good. I mean, coffee is it's one of our biggest exports in this country. It's one of our biggest.
The country cash cow.
Yeah, so it's something that we started in 2015. Me and a partner of mine. So we've been at it 10 years. We've got our learnings. We've had our fingers burnt. Every day is a learning experience. Our president has been telling us, and I'm in the value addition part.
Yeah.
So which means I don't deal with farmers. I
was going to ask, because now this is Kachai and A Chat, and also I'm trying to get coffee processors to partner with us. So now let's first start. Let's talk about coffee. Yeah. From the farmer to the processor, the exporter. Where are you in the chain?
I'm in the processing.
In the processing.
Yes.
Do you buy from farmers?
I buy from farmers. I do everything else. I'm in Masaka. I've planted my coffee. I have all these bugs. Where do I take it? If you have the coffee that I want, which is Arabica, in the content and the type of bean that I want, chances are I'll take all of it from you, and then I'll buy it from you at an agreed price. You don't worry about the rest. Just go back to farming more.
QC. How do you handle quality control?
This is why I'm saying if it's within my parameters, because my parameters are very clear. Yeah, it has to be a moisture content X. It has to be dry to a certain level. This bean, this percentage, this bean X percentage, da 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 da. You give me those quantities. The rest you leave to me.
Moisture, moisture. Then they put that sharp thing, and like take samples and stuff like that. The average farmer doesn't really. He doesn't know like what standards to get to.
Yeah, the average one doesn't. But the truth of the matter is, any aggregator that you're going to use is going to start demanding that stuff. Because you'll be like, omwani go ogutwala sebo. One way to tandikira.
Kind of moisture content,
see why is it?
The pH,
which means tandika tandikira one. And majority of them get it now. Yeah. In fact, some of the aggregators have started getting the coffee, then drying it themselves, doing the whole parchment thing by themselves, so that they don't disturb the farmer with that stuff. The problem with that process is that the farmer gets peanuts for his coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, if the farmer is smart, he needs to learn all this stuff so that he can say, the moisture content you want, I'm giving it to you at that. But this is my price.
Learning is key.
Exactly.
Learning is key.
If you decide to say, me, I've planted here is the bean, the guy will tell you, I'm going to give you 4,000 a kilo. And there's nothing you'll do. It is going to go and sell it at 15.
At processing level and distribution, whether it's export or for the home market, what is that playing field like?
It's locally it's still a problem because Ugandan generally are not coffee drinkers.
Yeah.
It's still something that's on the rise. I do believe that with our younger generation, coffee drinking is on the up. Nowhere close to our neighbors.
Kenyans drink coffee.
They do. They are a bit more exposed. We both have the same problem, which is we're colonized by the British, which means we're left with tea.
Yeah.
So our problem of not liking coffee is not because we don't like it. It's because we don't know
about coffee. We don't have like enough information.
Yes. Muzungu left us with chai. Yes. We are colonially a tea drinking nation.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So the people who know about coffee are those who have left Uganda. Now, because Kenya has a lot more exposed Kenyans people than Ugandans have, they have learned that coffee is actually a very good drink. Now, for those countries in Africa that were colonized by the French or the Belgians or the Portuguese, they love coffee. So,
since you're very coffee leaning, this is Kachai and A Chat. Do you want to tell people like drink more coffee?
Yes, there's nothing wrong with coffee. Don't let nobody lie to you that coffee is hazardous to your health. That's total rubbish. And hogwash. Coffee is a very decent beverage. It's a very good pick-me-upper.
Caffeine. Pick-me-upper.
Yeah.
Tell us about your coffee business. What's it called?
So the brand is Imara African Coffee. It's been around for 15 years. We are mostly in the supermarkets. Hopefully in the next before the end of this year, hopefully we'll have maybe opened up 1 or 2 stores, 1 or 2 coffee shops, inshallah. So Imara African, you'll find it at any of your supermarket stores.
I'll be on the lookout.
Please.
Takeout, like we always end the show with. My takeout has been, number one, if always not even just hone your craft, but be good at whatever you do.
Yeah.
Keep on learning, and also try different markets, especially East Africa. Yeah. What's your last word?
First of all, thanks to Stream UG and Rugged Made and for hosting me. I love the idea, and I think Sunday night is a nice time for this. It's a very good idea. Thanks a lot for having me. I think my parting shot is to the young people, anyone listening. It's never too late to start something new.
True.
Learning is an everyday experience. We have a very big issue today with people wanting to become superstars overnight because it's happened, because somebody became a superstar overnight. Therefore, everybody wants to achieve success overnight.
Right.
I don't think. Not only do I not think it's possible, I also don't think it's wise. Because quick success, more often than not, leads to quick failures.
To quick crashing.
So the slow process allows you to appreciate the process, which means you will appreciate the wins even more. Which means you will take care of those wins.
Yes, sir.
Think about it the same way you would think about, if you're a man, think about a very beautiful girl who all you needed to do was one date. Would you value her the same you would one who you benched for 6 months? Think of it that way.
Uncle Marcus, wise words. So But before we go, I had like one quick, the future of radio. Yeah. Where do you see it going?
Radio is, first of all, going nowhere. It's not like newspaper that's completely almost on the way out.
Yeah.
I think TV is also still pretty okay.
Yeah.
The problem with TV is that its cost of operations is very heavy, and therefore very few can afford it. But it still has a future in Africa. Radio is still number one,
yes,
and
sir.
It's going nowhere. The increase of internet accessibility will increase the competition.
Yeah.
Stream UG like radio stations will be on the rise, which will lead to what we call in economics perfect competition, whereby
even playing ground.
Yeah. So if there's Stream UG, which is 80% Ugandan content, which is Stream UG's anchor or tagline, there will be 5 Stream UGs where you are competing from an actual solid playing ground. all of us are doing the exact same thing, which is what? Playing 80%
Ugandan content.
Ugandan content. It is not competition of all online radios. No. There's an online radio for gospel. Is it still really competing with Stream UG? No.
What's your niche? What's your curve?
Exactly. So once we get into perfect competition of niche, which is where we shall get to eventually, by that time, when internet penetration has increased, smartphone penetration has increased, the normal FM radio will still be there and still be growing and still be relevant as the rest of the radios keep growing. So radio is here to stay for a very, very, very long time.
My conversation with seasoned radio man, chairman of the Basketball Association in Uganda, Coffee man. What am I missing here? What am I missing here?
Family man.
Family man. Yeah. And Sage.
Yeah.
African Sage. It was an honor having you on this show.
Thanks for having me.
Please, let's do this some other time, yeah?
Please.
Cheers. This was Kachai and A Chat. My name is Rugged Made, and this is Stream UG, Your Life, Your Music, and that was our time.